I didn't realize my parents had already chosen who was going to survive. Not until I opened the backpack my father gave me. By then, the house was gone, the street was gone, and my mother's voice was still ringing in my ears, telling me to run. Before everything ended, our town was the kind of place people drove through without remembering its name. A flat little desert town called Mercy Wells, where the summers were brutal, the roads shimmered in the heat, and every house had sun-bleached curtains and cracked paint around the windows. Nothing important ever happened there. At least, that was what we used to believe. The first warning came through the phones. Not the sirens, not the government trucks, just a sharp emergency alert at 3:17 in the morning that made every phone in the house scream at once. My little sister, Mina, started crying before I even read the message. My father came out of the bedroom holding a flashlight. My mother stood behind him, one hand pressed against her chest, like her heart was trying to break out. The alert said there had been a containment failure at the Northern Medical Facility. It told us to stay indoors, lock all doors and windows, avoid physical contact with anyone showing signs of fever, confusion, skin discoloration, or irregular movement. And then at the bottom, in capital letters, it said something none of us understood. Do not respond to voices outside. My father read that line twice, and then he turned off every light in the house. By sunrise, the news was saying it was a reaction to a new treatment, some kind of emergency antiviral, and they had rushed it out because people were getting sick too fast and hospitals were overflowing in the bigger cities. At first, they said the treatment was safe. Then they said a small number of patients were experiencing side effects. Then they stopped saying patients, and they started saying subjects. By the second night, the broadcasts were cutting in and out. A doctor with blood on his collar tried to explain that the infected were not dead, but they were no longer behaving like living people. Their bodies overheated. Their skin dried and split. Their joints stiffened. Their throats made a hollow clicking sound when they moved. And the worst part was not what they did. It was how they found you. They did not need to see you. They did not need to hear you clearly. Somehow they could sense rhythm, footsteps, breathing. A shaking hand against a window frame. A heartbeat racing too close to the wall. That was why people stopped calling them infected. People started calling them hollowed, because once the sickness took them, it looked like everything human had been scooped out from the inside. My family lasted 11 days inside our house. 11 days of whispering. 11 days of sweating through the same clothes. 11 days of eating cold beans, stale crackers, and fruit from cans my mother had bought years earlier and forgotten in the pantry. We blocked the windows with blankets and taped cardboard over the glass. My father pushed the sofa against the front door and stacked the dining table behind it. The back door was held shut with a chair, a mop handle, and prayers none of us said out loud. The electricity died on the third day. The water stopped on the fifth. After that, every small thing became a decision. How much water to drink, whether to open a can now or save it. Whether it was safe to whisper, whether it was safe to sleep. My father, my mother Mina, and I took turns watching from the upstairs bedroom window where a tiny corner of glass was still uncovered. We could see the street from there, or what was left of it. Cars sat abandoned with their doors open. A bicycle lay in the middle of the road, its front wheel still bent from where someone had hit it. A dog barked somewhere for 2 days. Then it stopped. No one talked about that. Mina was only 12. She had asthma and the heat made it worse. Every time she took a breath, I listened for the whistle in her chest. Every time she coughed, my mother flinched. The inhalers were almost empty. Her pills were running low, and the nearest pharmacy was 4 miles away across town. 4 miles might not sound like much. Before the Hollowed, I could have walked it in under an hour. But now, 4 miles was another planet. On the 11th night, I was on watch. The room was dark and the air was so hot it felt thick enough to chew. My shirt stuck to my back. My eyes burned from staying open. Across the street, old Mrs. Calder's house stood quiet with the front door hanging crooked. 3 days earlier, we had watched her son arrive in a pickup truck. He ran to the porch, calling for her, begging her to come out. She did, but she was not his mother anymore. She moved from the shadows so slowly at first that he did not understand. Then her head tilted. Her jaw trembled. And that dry, clicking sound came out of her throat. He screamed once. Only once. Now the pickup was still parked outside her house. The driver's door was open. The keys were probably still inside. My father said we could not risk it. He was right. That was the worst part. He was always right. Mina came up behind me without making a sound. She had learned to walk carefully. We all had. She touched my shoulder and I nearly jumped out of my skin. "You need sleep," she whispered. "I'm fine." "You're not. Your eyes look weird." I almost laughed, but laughing had become dangerous, so I only breathed through my nose and moved away from the window. Mina took my place. Her small face looked pale in the moonlight. Too pale. For a second, I wanted to tell her to go downstairs and rest. I wanted to tell her she was too young to watch the world rot from a bedroom window. But there were no children anymore. Not really. There were only people who had survived so far. Downstairs, my mother was sitting on the kitchen floor with a notebook in her lap. She had been writing things for days. Lists, medicine schedules, water counts, names of neighbors we had not seen again. My father stood near the back door, listening. He did that a lot. He would stand perfectly still, one hand raised, head slightly turned, as if the house itself was trying to tell him something. My mother looked up when she saw me. She smiled. It was the kind of smile people use when they are trying not to fall apart. She held out a spoon with a piece of canned peach on it. I sat beside her and took it. The peach tasted like metal and sugar. For some reason, that almost made me cry. My mother noticed. She always noticed. She rested her head against my shoulder. Neither of us said anything. Then from upstairs, Mina made a sound. Not a scream, not even a word, just a tiny broken gasp. My father moved first. I followed. We reached the bedroom and found Mina frozen by the window. She was pointing across the street. At first, I saw nothing. Then I heard the clicking. One, then another, then many. Dry, uneven, soft at first, like fingernails tapping inside a wall. The Hollowed came from the end of the street in a loose crowd, dragging themselves through the moonlight. Some walked, some crawled, some moved with their arms twisted behind them, their heads twitching as though listening to music no one else could hear. And in front of them, barefoot on the asphalt, was Mr. Alvarez from 2 houses down. He was carrying his granddaughter. She could not have been more than 5. She was awake and her hands were wrapped around his neck. He was bleeding from one leg, limping badly, trying to move quietly and failing with every step. "Please," he whispered. The word was barely audible through the glass. "Please help us." My hand went to the window latch before I knew I had moved. My father grabbed my wrist. His grip hurt. I looked at him. His eyes were full of tears, but he shook his head. Slowly. No. Mr. Alvarez looked up at our window. I don't know if he saw us. Maybe he did. Maybe he only hoped someone was there. The little girl coughed. The hollowed stopped. Every single one of them. Their heads lifted at the same time. The clicking grew louder. Mr. Alvarez started to run. He made it 3 steps before they reached him. My mother pulled Mina away before she could see everything. But we all heard it. We heard the man begging. We heard the child crying. We heard the hollowed clicking so loudly it sounded like rain on glass. That night changed something inside our house. Before that, we were scared. After that, we were ashamed. And shame is heavier than fear. The next morning, my father said we could not wait anymore. Mina needed medicine. We needed water. The food would not last another week. The plan was simple because there was no room for anything complicated. At sunset, we would leave through the back. Cut through the yards, reach the Calder pickup if we could. If not, we would take our own car from the garage and drive straight to the pharmacy. No stopping, no helping. No looking back. My mother did not argue. That scared me more than anything. All day, my parents packed quietly, carefully. My father gave each of us a backpack. Mine felt heavier than it should have. When I asked why, he said, "Water." My mother made Mina repeat the medicine schedule until she got angry. "I know it," Mina whispered. "I'm not stupid." My mother grabbed her face gently with both hands. "No," she said, "you're not. That's why you need to remember." Mina looked confused. So did I. My father would not meet my eyes. Just before sunset, my mother hugged me in the hallway. It was too tight, too long. I tried to pull away, embarrassed, but she held on. "My brave boy," she whispered. "I'm not brave." "You will be." I didn't understand what she meant. Not then. Outside, the first hollowed began clicking against our front door. The hollowed never slept. As the sun disappeared behind the desert hills, their clicking grew louder. It echoed between empty houses until it became impossible to tell where any one creature actually was. That was their greatest weapon. Confusion, fear, silence. My father waited beside the back door with one hand resting on the handle. Nobody spoke. Nobody needed to. My mother squeezed Mina's hand while I adjusted the straps of my backpack for what felt like the 100th time. It was heavier than before, strangely heavy, but there was no time to question it. My father slowly unlocked the back door. The old hinges complained with the faintest creak. Every one of us froze. Outside, nothing. Only the wind. Only the smell. Rotting flesh mixed with hot asphalt and dead grass. My father stepped out first. He scanned both directions before giving us a silent signal. Move. One by one, we slipped into the backyard. The neighborhood looked unfamiliar in the fading light. Lawns had turned yellow. Garden hoses lay abandoned across sidewalks. Children's toys rested exactly where someone had dropped them almost 2 weeks earlier. Life had simply stopped. We crossed 3 backyards without incident. Nobody dared breathe too deeply. Even Mina managed to keep her coughing under control. Then we reached the wooden fence behind the Calder house. My father carefully lifted one loose plank. "We crawl through here," he whispered. I went first. Then Mina. Then my mother. My father came last. The Calder property was empty. At least, it looked empty. The pickup truck still sat exactly where we had seen it from the bedroom window. Dust covered the windshield. One door remained open. Hope. Real hope. For the first time in days. "If the keys are still there," I whispered. "They usually leave them inside," my father replied. We moved toward the truck. Every step felt impossibly loud. Crunch, crunch, tiny stones beneath our shoes. Halfway there. Click. A single dry click. I stopped. So did everyone else. Another click answered from somewhere behind the garage. Then another from inside the neighbor's shed. Another from the roof. They weren't surrounding us. Not yet. They were listening. My father's face changed instantly. No sudden movements. The words barely escaped his lips. A shadow shifted beneath the truck. At first, I thought it was another person hiding. Then it crawled out. Its skin looked stretched tight over its bones. Parts of its face had split open from the heat. Its eyes were cloudy white. Its mouth hung open slightly. Click! 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 It wasn't looking at us. Its head tilted left. Then right, as though trying to hear something hidden beneath the earth. Mina's breathing became faster. I could hear the whistle in her lungs. The creature froze. Its head snapped toward us. Click, click, click. Then it screamed. The sound wasn't human. It was sharp, metallic, like rusted steel being dragged across concrete. Every clicking noise around us stopped for one terrifying heartbeat. There was absolute silence. Then the entire neighborhood answered. Hundreds of clicks from every direction. Run! My father's whisper exploded into a shout. The creature lunged. I swung my metal bat with everything I had. The impact nearly broke my wrists. The hollowed collapsed, but another climbed over it. Then another. My mother grabbed Mina and pulled her toward the truck. I slammed the driver's door shut behind us while my father searched desperately beneath the steering column. No keys. My stomach dropped. They're gone. A loud crash echoed from the street. The front gate had fallen. Dozens of hollowed poured into the yard. Some sprinted. Some crawled, some dragged themselves forward using broken arms, but every one of them moved toward us. My father looked at the truck, then toward our own garage across 2 backyards. We're taking our car, but the truck... No time. Another scream erupted behind us. The hollowed had reached the porch. We ran. Branches scratched my arms. Splintered fences tore at our clothes. The clicking surrounded us from every side now. It no longer sounded random. It sounded coordinated, like they were talking to each other. We reached our backyard just as one of them climbed over the fence behind us. I turned and swung again. This one didn't fall. It grabbed the bat with impossible strength. Its fingers felt dry, cold, almost weightless. I kicked it away and pulled the bat free. My father unlocked the garage. The car waited exactly where we had left it. For one beautiful second, I believed we had made it. My father climbed into the driver's seat. The engine didn't start. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing. Silence. My father closed his eyes and then whispered, "The battery." No one moved. No one even breathed, because outside, the clicking had stopped again. Something far worse was about to happen. The first hollowed, slammed against the garage door. Then another. Then another. The metal groaned under the impact. Dust rained down from the ceiling. Mina covered her ears. My father tried the ignition one more time. Nothing. Only a dry click beneath the dashboard. The battery was dead. He rested both hands on the steering wheel for just a second. Not in defeat, in acceptance. Then he climbed out. "Everyone out!" "What?" I stared at him. "We're leaving the car." "How?" "We don't have another choice." Another impact shook the garage. A crack spread across one of the dusty windows. The hollowed had found us. My father opened the trunk and threw us each another backpack. This one was much lighter. "Take only what you need." My mother immediately handed her water bottle to Mina. "No," Mina whispered. "You keep it." "I'm not thirsty." She lied so naturally that it hurt. My father crouched beside an old workbench and pulled away a stack of paint cans. Hidden beneath them was a small metal hatch. I had never seen it before. "When did you—" "Years ago." He forced it open. A narrow maintenance tunnel disappeared into darkness beneath the house. "It leads to the storm drain," he said. "It's old. It might have collapsed. It might save your lives." Another crash. This time the garage window exploded inward. A hollowed forced one arm through the broken glass, blindly clawing for anything alive. My father slammed a shovel into its head. It dropped instantly, but more shapes appeared behind it. Too many. "We all go," I said. "We still can?" My father looked at me, then smiled. Not a hopeful smile. The kind parents wear when they've already made a decision their children will hate. "No." My heart stopped. "No? The tunnel is too small." "It'll take time." "If all 4 of us go." He didn't finish. He didn't have to. "They'll reach us first." "No?" I shook my head. "No. We'll fight. We'll make it." "We've made it this far." My mother walked toward me. She gently brushed the hair away from my forehead, exactly the way she used to when I was little. "You remember when you fell off your bike?" I stared at her. "What?" "You were 6. You broke your arm." You kept apologizing because you thought the hospital bill would make us angry. A tear rolled down her cheek. You've always tried to carry things that weren't yours to carry. I won't let you do that again. Another hollowed crashed through the window, then another. My father shoved them back with the shovel. We don't have much time, Mina began crying. No, we're leaving together. We promised. We always stay together. My mother knelt beside her. She wrapped both hands around Mina's face. Listen to me. You are the bravest little girl I've ever known. I need you to keep breathing. I need you to take your medicine. And I need you to trust your brother. Mina shook her head violently. No. I want you. I don't want medicine. I want you. My mother kissed her forehead. So do I. The garage door buckled inward. A twisted arm pushed through the opening. Then another. The clicking became deafening. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. My father reached inside his jacket. He handed me a folded map, a ring of keys, and finally, a small black handgun. My hands started shaking. I don't want this. I know. I've never even... I know. He closed my fingers around it. You only use it if there is absolutely no other choice. The words barely reached me. I couldn't hear anything except my own heartbeat. My father looked at the tunnel, then back at me. I lied. What? The backpack. It wasn't water. I frowned. What do you mean? Open it. Confused, I unzipped the bag. Medicine, water, batteries, bandages, energy bars, warm clothes, every remaining supply we owned. Every single one. I looked toward my parents. Their backpacks were almost empty. My stomach turned cold. No. You switched them. Neither of them answered. You switched all the supplies. Silence. No. I threw the backpack onto the floor. We're not doing this. We'll split everything. We'll all go. My father stepped closer. His eyes were red. I would rather die 1,000 times than bury my children. I won't survive without you. You will. I won't. You don't know that. I do. You've spent your whole life protecting your sister. Now protect her one more time. The garage door finally gave way. The hollowed poured inside. My father grabbed a heavy welding tank and rolled it toward the entrance. Then he looked at me. Take Mina. I'll hold them. No, I'll help. You already are. He hugged me, hard, longer than he ever had before. Then he whispered something so quietly I almost missed it. I'm proud of the man you've become. He let go. Before I could grab him again, he slammed the steel hatch shut between us. Darkness swallowed everything. Above us, the hollowed screamed. Then my father did something that made my blood freeze. He started shouting, Come on! I'm here! Come get me! The clicking rushed toward his voice, every single one of them, The last thing I heard before the tunnel echoed with silence was my mother's voice. Soft, steady, filled with more love than any words should ever be able to carry. Live! Then came a thunderous explosion above us. The entire tunnel shook. Dust filled the air. Concrete cracked somewhere behind us. Mina collapsed to her knees. I wanted to climb back. I wanted to dig through the earth with my bare hands. Instead, I grabbed my sister and forced myself deeper into the darkness. Because sometimes the cruelest thing about surviving is that someone else has to choose it for you. The tunnel seemed endless. Cold water covered the floor just above my ankles, and every step echoed through the darkness. Mina walked beside me in complete silence, clutching my sleeve so tightly that my arm had gone numb. Neither of us cried. Not anymore. Somewhere behind us, far above the storm drain, another distant explosion rolled through the earth. Then, nothing. No screaming, no clicking, only silence. I don't know how long we walked. An hour? Maybe 3. Time no longer meant anything underground. Eventually, a faint beam of moonlight slipped through a rusted drainage grate. I pushed against it with both hands until it finally gave way. Fresh night air rushed into my lungs. For the first time in days, I could breathe. We climbed out into an abandoned irrigation canal nearly 6 miles from Mercy Wells. The town looked different from a distance. Smoke drifted into the night sky. Several neighborhoods were burning. Emergency lights flashed somewhere far away, but there were no sirens, just darkness. Mina collapsed onto the dry concrete beside the canal. "I want to go home," she whispered. I looked back toward the town. There wasn't a home anymore. Only memories. I sat beside her and opened my backpack. Inside, everything had been packed with impossible care. Every medicine bottle was labeled, every bandage folded, every battery sealed in plastic. There was enough food for nearly 3 weeks. At the very bottom, I found an envelope. It simply read, "For Ethan." My hands trembled as I unfolded the letter. If you're reading this, then our plan worked. First, I need you to stop blaming yourself. None of this is your fault. Parents spend their entire lives hoping they never have to choose between their children and themselves. If that day ever came, your mother and I already knew what our answer would be. You were always going to survive. Both of you. Take care of Mina. She pretends to be stronger than she feels. Remind her to laugh whenever she forgets how. Don't waste time looking for us. If somehow we survive, we'll find you. If we don't, then promise me something. Don't let the world end with us. Find people worth trusting. Protect each other. Keep moving, and whenever you think you can't go another step, take one more. Love always. Dad! I folded the letter as carefully as I could. Then I cried harder than I ever had in my life, not because my parents were gone, but because they had spent their final moments making sure we would have a future. The next few weeks blurred together. We avoided highways. We traveled mostly at night. Every abandoned house became a temporary shelter. Every sunrise felt borrowed. Some people helped us, others tried to rob us. We learned very quickly that the Hollowed weren't the only monsters left in the world. Months passed, the seasons changed, the medicine slowly disappeared bottle by bottle. One evening we reached a small farming community surrounded by heavy steel barricades. The survivors called it Haven Ridge. For the first time since Mercy Wells, people smiled, children played, generators hummed. Someone even offered us hot soup. It almost felt normal. Almost. One rainy afternoon, while helping repair an old radio tower, I asked one of the engineers a question that had haunted me since the night we escaped. "Has anyone ever found a cure?" The old man stopped tightening a bolt. Then he looked at me strangely. "What cure?" "The Hollowed." His expression changed. "They're not infected." I laughed. "What?" "They never were." He slowly shook his head. "The government lied. The treatment wasn't the cause. It was the response." I felt my stomach tighten. "I don't understand." He reached inside a weathered cabinet and handed me a damaged military report. Most of the pages had been burned. Only one sentence remained readable. Human transformation began 72 hours before the vaccine was ever distributed. I stared at the page. Again and again, the dates matched. That meant everything we'd been told, everything we'd believed, was a lie. The outbreak had started long before anyone admitted it. The medicine hadn't created the Hollowed. Someone had simply needed the world to believe it had. That night, I couldn't sleep. Rain tapped softly against the roof. Everyone else inside Haven Ridge had already fallen asleep. Around midnight, someone knocked on the outer gate. 3 slow knocks. The guards called out. No answer. Another 3 knocks. One guard climbed the watchtower and shined a spotlight toward the entrance. There was nobody there. Just muddy footprints, bare feet, leading away from the gate, not toward it, away. As if whatever had made them had already been inside. The next morning, one of the children disappeared. There were no signs of forced entry, no blood, no struggle, only 3 tiny drops of muddy water beside his empty bed. That was 6 months ago. We never found him. Sometimes, late at night, I still wake up because I think I hear that familiar clicking outside my window. Sometimes I convince myself it's only the wind. Sometimes I know it isn't. And if this recording somehow survives longer than I do, remember one thing: the Hollowed were never the end of our story. They were only the beginning. The story ends here. But some mysteries never truly end. Good night, and I'll see you in the next story.